Hello parents, I'm Mr. Howard Yu. I'd like to share with you the P4 Science SA2 mock exam, the solutions, as I'll be doing a screen sharing soon. And this is the training which I've conducted recently for students who are in P4 this year. And these type of questions are tested in the Science SA2B in P4, P5, and even P6. And for those who are new to my channel, I invite you to stay in tune and use this answer review to guide your child to do perhaps a mock P4 exam. And even students in P5 who are taking the P5 SA2 can also benefit from this training. As you can see, this first question, which I've already gone through in the class, so I will not be going through in this recording. Just a preview for those students who are new. In fact, these questions appears in one of the school's P6 prelim paper this year. If you'd like to find out more, you can screenshot or can contact me after the training. And this is actually a very typical question testing the concept of matter in P4, M-A-T-T-E-R, matter. Matter is anything that has mass and occupies space. And then I asked my P4 students to ignore these questions because these questions is considered P4 GEP questions and a P5 science standard questions. So I have discussed this question as well. And you can see here, I have actually published a book, is P5 PSLE Science OEQ Investigative Reasoning. So you can purchase this book by mail order from me. And this is a very interesting question and very applicable in current situation. Students need to understand the difference between melting and boiling and choose the appropriate material that satisfy the conditions of the questions. So I believe the students which I have taught in the training, we stop at these questions. And let us review this question for a moment. For the benefits of some students who may have left out my explanation during the live online training, I will spend some time discussing these questions. As you can see, the melting point and boiling point. So the question asks, which substance S, I, or N did he store? Explain your answer. So as I annotate here, do take note. In order to store something with a bigger capacity, 1005, into a container with smaller capacity, it must be a gas. Because students need to understand that only gas can be compressed. So they need to ask themselves, at 24 degrees Celsius, which of these substances will appear as gas? So for gas, we look at the boiling point. So can you see this 20 degrees Celsius? So substance N actually becomes a gas at 20 degrees Celsius at its boiling point. So this answer is substance N, and this is the model answer that a student should be able to pen out, as I showed here. So the question answer is substance N at 24 degrees Celsius, N would exist as a gas because it boils at 20 degrees Celsius. And in addition, they need to explain this part, why it can be squeezed into a smaller capacity container. As a gas, it does not have a definite volume. Hence, 1,500 ml of it can be compressed into the 800 ml container. So this is very good because these answers, actually the students answer according to the context. So the context is because 1,005 squeezed into 800. So the student apply the concept of gas does not have a definite volume and can be compressed and apply it to the situational context, which is very good. Let's see the next part. And this is a wire mesh basket. And Dr. Clement, as stated here, works in the NUS laboratory. By the way, Dr. Clement was actually my former student, and I'm very thankful that he actually got a PhD and worked in the NUS laboratory for the last 2 years before he now changed to another line in a multinational company. So I've been teaching, as you know, for many, many years, since 1998. Okay, let's continue here. Would he be able to store substance S and I into the wire basket at the laboratory's room temperature? So in order to store something in a wire mesh basket, the substance must be a solid at the temperature. So now we look at the melting point. Because now they narrow down to 2. So you need not to see the 3 of them. So they ask you S and I. So look at S and I. So look at the melting point. Can you see this will melt, but this will not, because the temperature is 24 degrees Celsius. So once again, you need to identify substance I, and this is the model answer. He can only store substance I because at 24 degrees Celsius, substance I would still be a solid at its melting point is 450 degrees Celsius. But S, or substance S, would be a liquid since it melts at -8. So substance S would flow through the holes of the basket. So this is an excellent answer, which students need to learn how to present such scientific concept answers to the examiners, be in P4, P5, and even P6. So let's continue to the next question. Okay, by the way, this question is also a very realistic question. As you go to the hotel, they usually use such towers. So the question is, 5 minutes later, Tom observed that the towers from the top of the stack of B was much cooler than the top stack of A. So you have to explain. Okay, explain, you must give clear reasons why. So again, this is the model answer. Okay, so you can screenshot or pause my recording. The tower on the top of the stack B, which is here, will have a greater exposed surface area in contact with the cooler surrounding air. Compared, okay, there a comparison must be made, compared to the one of the roll-up towers on the top stack of A. Thus, it will lose more heat to the surrounding or lose heat faster, either way is possible, making it cooler than the rolled up towers on the top stack of A. Okay, some students may not be able to write such a long sentence. It's good to separate them if you can. So you just mentioned in essence that the tower on the top here has greater exposed surface area in contact with what? With the surrounding air. So the common mistake students make is they just put the tower on top of tower A had greater exposed surface area, and then didn't mention about in contact with what. Okay, this is very important. You must mention in contact with the cooler surrounding air. Okay, compared to what? So comparison must be made. So this must be compared to this. Compared to the roll-up towers on the top of stack A, then full stop. Okay, we can full stop here. Therefore, the tower on the top of tower A can lose heat faster to the surrounding compared to the towers here. Okay, okay, next question. So proceeding here, you can freeze and read this. I will keep it short. And this is, of course, one of the 5-star hotels in Singapore where I believe most of you have stayed there. It's quite a good place to stay if you haven't been there. I've been there once. After my daughter finished her PSLE, we brought her there for a staycation. So here, students are supposed to put here and here, identify the boxes. So what they need to see is initially both temperature are the same, and in this box is lower. So it means that this box here is a better conductor of heat, and you're supposed to explain your answer here. So this is the model answer. Metal and wooden. The temperature of tower A in the wooden box decrease slower. Okay, the reason is Wood is a poorer conductor of heat than metal. Wood is a poorer conductor of heat than metal. So you can freeze the screen. Okay. Or you can even explain the other way, because in the model answer, we talk about wood. We can also say that metal is a better conductor of heat. Therefore, the temperature of tower here loses heat faster. Both ways are acceptable. Let's continue. So now it's COVID pandemic or endemic. We need to be having good situation awareness. And I use this type of images to stimulate students' understanding. And this is indeed a very advanced aeroplane, which I showed them in my YouTube channel, the SR-71, the most advanced spy plane that has ever built. And by the way, these questions which I've just discussed, they were from this year, 2021, RGPS, P6 Prelim Science. So you can see actually for PSLE, right? The test spectrum is from P3 all the way to P6. So this heat topic is a heavily tested topic in PSLE. Heat topic is formally taught at P4 level, but they will be asked again in P5 and P6. Why? Because as you know, heat is a very common thing that we face every day. So the student need to appreciate the concept of heat. And this topic will also be repeated in secondary 1. In heat transfer, they will learn about conduction, convection, and radiation. So those who are P6, do remember to sign on to Mr. Yu's Sec 1 Head Start. Okay, this question is about water transport or experimental design. Okay, more towards experimental design. Experimental design, it means that they give you experimental setup and ask you to find inferences, conclusion, or make suggestions to improve the experiment. So it says that Mutu concluded the plant in Y took in 250 ml of water. Explain whether his conclusion is correct. So I believe that you have tried these questions, and to save time, I will just show you the model answer as explained here. So the answer is no. In container Z, as you notice in the picture, in container Z, there's no plant. So without a plant, 50 ml of water was lost due to evaporation. Therefore, the plant took in less than 250 ml of water in container Y. Because the conclusion is that it takes in 250. But you observe here, there's a decrease of 50 ml. That means 50 ml of water has evaporated. So although if you do mathematically, 1000 minus 750, you get 250. Okay, that doesn't mean that the plant took in 250 because some of it has evaporated. So I hope that this explanation is clear, crystal clear. Okay, so this is the answer. And next, the question asks you, using the plants in container X and Y, Mutu like to find out, okay, I ask students to annotate this. As they annotate visually and mentally, they prepare for the answers. To find out if the presence of roots would affect the amount of water taken in by the plant. What are the 2 changes he must do to the plant in container X? So focus in container X in order to conduct a fair test. So this is container X. So that to zoom in this part. So what must he do? So once again, this answer, he should make the number of leaves in plant X same as that in plant Y. Number 2, remove the roots from the plant, from the plant here. Okay, so number 1, you can make the same number of leaves. So remove these leaves so that this amount of leaves here are the same as this. Okay, and secondly, because you want to test if roots, right? Look at the question, is the presence of roots. So in your experimental setup, one must have roots, the other without roots, whereas the other variable remain the same. Okay, good. Let's move on to the next question. Okay, this once again is a very good question in heat transfer, and this actually appears in one of the school's prelim paper this year, ACS Junior P6 2021. And once again, this is the P4 content. on heat transfer. But there's one question I asked them, two questions I asked them to omit, because these are higher level P4 GP or P5 science questions. So we have read the questions, I assume. So you observe the sleeve wipe have this jagged edge. This will reduce the surface area in contact with the person holding it. So once again, this is the model answer, which I'll show you. And even I have included the picture here so that you can refer without flipping. Okay, let's see this answer, which I try to enlarge for you. Then you can do a screen freeze to take down the answer. Sleeve Y has less surface area. Okay, sleeve Y, the one on the right side of the picture, has less surface area in contact with her hand and the cup of hot coffee as compared to sleeve X. So you just remember to state this part. The one that the jagged edge has less surface area in contact with her hand. So her hand will gain less heat from the hot coffee. This will prevent her hand from getting burned, and hence she's able to hold a cup of hot coffee using sleeve Y than with sleeve X. Okay. Okay, the other two questions I will not explain here, but you can do a screen freeze to understand why. But this is a good question. Double glass wall container. Sometimes they use vacuum flask. So this one tests the student understanding that air is a poor conductor of heat. So once again, you can freeze the screen and get the answer, but I'll just read out to you. The double wall glass has an air-filled gap, unlike the single wall glass, as air is a poor conductor of heat. So this is a concept, it's a fact. The cold drinks in the double wall glass gain less heat, or you can say gain heat slower. Both are acceptable. I prefer students use gain heat slower from the surrounding as compared to the single wall glass. Okay, I prefer students to use a gain heat slower because it's in an experiment you must compare to the time lapse, so you gain heat slower. Okay, next, a very interesting question, because now they ask you state. Okay, when you see the word state, it's very easy. You just give the answer without any explanation required. State an advantage of using a single glass instead of double glass to contain a hot drink. So why is it an advantage to use a single glass instead of double glass? Of course, as young people, they like to drink the beverage fast, right? So by using a single glass or single wall glass, the drinks can be cooled faster. So the hot drink will lose heat faster to the surrounding. Okay, this part. Okay, let's move on to the next question. This one also is a very interesting question on life cycle. Okay, on life cycle, and this is the life cycle of mosquito. For those who don't have this paper, you can do a screenshot here. The 4 temperatures. So they ask you, based on the result above, which stage of this animal are not affected by the change in the surrounding temperature. So can you see this column here? This number 6 remain the same despite the change from 22 to 34. So the answer is very easy. Just put the word larva. Okay, spell the word larva here. Larva. Okay, then next one is a mathematical calculation. So they ask you, suggest a possible temperature of the room. So they say that at day 15, animal A was a larva. So you do the summation, 15 plus 6 is 21. So this is out. 10 plus 6, 16. So 15 sandwiched between 16, right? So is this temperature, 26 degrees Celsius. Because at the day 15, at this temperature, this animal A will appear as a larva. Because the first 10 days is the egg stage. The next 6 days is the larva stage. So the 15th day is 1 day before it goes to the pupa stage. Okay, this one is something where most students, they may lose marks here. Okay, they say, suggests a reason why diseases are spread most quickly when the temperature is 34. Okay, do take note when you read the question, right? This is an important thing because the spread disease are in the adult stage, which actually is a knowledge that most of us know because mosquito, the adult stage, they spread dengue fever. Okay, so the model answer is this part. Okay. At 34 degrees Celsius, animal A, okay, you notice in such question, usually they don't state the actual name of the animal. They just put animal A. Okay. Animal A stays as an adult for the longest. If you see the table is 17 days here. Okay, 17 days. Therefore, it spread disease R most quickly in the adult stage. Let's move on to the next question. And this actually appears in Tao School this year, prelims paper, P6. But bear in mind, this is a even P3, learn right, life cycle of mosquito. So this question actually combines both things. Conceptual understanding in P3 life cycle together with experimental data analysis. Okay? Experimental data analysis. So that's why MOE focus a lot on this process skill teaching. And I'm very glad that your child is under my training. And I hope that they can continue to be trained weekly so that I can prepare them better for their P5 as well as for P6. And this questions is related to this, but they are independent. It's from a different school. So you can see here, is it dengue fever? You can screenshot. I won't explain due to the time constraint. And based on the information above, explain how change in temperature affected the number of dengue cases among humans. Okay, I specifically use this question because the student need to integrate two sets of data to present the answer. Because if they did not match these two sets of data coherently to the questions, to the answers, they will not get the 2 marks. So pay careful attention to these questions. As you can see, this is the temperature, right? So as the temperature increases, the number of days to complete one life cycle decreases. Can you see? It decreases. And this is the average temperature of the month from January to June. It shows a gradual increase. And the number of dengue cases is a mirror image. It follows the same pattern. So this is the way they should present the answer. Let's see here. Okay, you can screenshot this. And this is very important. So I will go through slowly with you, especially those who have came for my training. First, you must mention, as the temperature increases, the number of days for one complete life cycle decreases. So the examiner must be able to see that, hey, this student actually knows this. As this increase, the number of days to complete this decrease. This is the fact. Transfer the data into the explanation. Next, thus, okay, this is the reason why this pattern will cause the result. First, the young of the mosquito would grow into the adult Aedes mosquito at a faster rate, causing more humans to be bitten or to be stung. Thus, the number of dengue cases among humans increases as temperature increases. Okay, because you notice the question asked is how the change in temperature affect the number of dengue cases in human. So you need to integrate two sets of data to present this answer, which is a 2-mark questions. So screenshot, memorize this, not memorize, I mean understand the concept and apply it in the next situation. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Okay, interestingly, I showed them this during the training. Okay, this ant is actually a giant forest ant. And I particularly show it because many students, they've forgotten how an insect look like. Okay, insect has 3 body parts. Okay, the next important fact is, if you examine carefully, the 6 legs originates from the thorax. Okay, from the thorax. of the insect. So can you see here? You can screen freeze or screenshot. All the 6 legs originate from the thorax. Okay. So next come the million-dollar question. Mr. Yu, I want to join your training. What are your schedule? Okay. So this is my schedule for 2020. However, if your child in P4 this year, you should look at those classes which are indicated P5, because all my classes from next week will be auto-promoted to the next level. So for currently, they are actually, this is a new class, this is a new class, and these, so actually you have quite a number of choices if your child is P5 next year. So we have Wednesday, this timing, Thursday, this timing, Friday, this timing, and Saturday morning. Because this student, P5 actually is a very challenging year. In fact, the content is more difficult than P6. And I prefer to do all these classes on site in my learning center with safe distancing. So you notice if you choose the Saturday class, because I'm using the center with Mr. Quack, so Saturday we limit the number to a smaller group to 6 only. Whereas the weekday classes, I can accommodate up to 8 students per class. So I welcome you to join in my training. And I hope that I can engage more parents. And one way you can engage your child is to allow them to visit more of my training through the YouTube channel and also this recording. You can freeze the screen to get the timetable. I would make it in one page so you can see it clearly. This is Mr. Yu's training schedule for this year. As I mentioned, this is my One Academy Science YouTube channel. You can visit, like, and subscribe. And I'd like to show you one very interesting recording on food sciences and heat transfer. Okay, let me include the music so that you can view. For my dessert to serve my friends here. And this is the tea, the ginger tea in cubes form. So the water now is reaching about 85 degrees centigrade. It's increasing. And we can slowly lower the rice balls either by your hand in this manner to lower it down. 1, 2. If I'm teaching this or showing students, I will ask them to observe, can they see the air bubbles coming out? Because when boiling is happening, bubbles appear. This is not present during the process of evaporation. So from here, this simple YouTube video, they can learn a few scientific concepts. So later they also will be asked, if I lowered more of these rice balls, you will see the air bubbles disappear. The reason is because as you add in more, right, the boiling water actually loses heat to the rice balls, the glutinous rice ball, 汤圆, and the 汤圆 gains heat. So if the water loses heat, right, from boiling point, it will drop to maybe like 90 degrees Celsius or even lower. So momentarily, maybe for 1 minute, you will see there's absence of bubbles. So there's one good ways to engage student. So I hope that the parents and child and children can verify the answers in the model answers which I've given. And I hope that you can break new fish record. Fish record means first in science, hallelujah, fish record. So I wish you all the best to consider joining my on-site training as well as online training for P4, P5, and P6. Take care, stay safe, and God bless.